Hello. I want to go over some functionality that's changed a little bit in our 4.53 release, which is our December 31st, 2025 release. Specifically, this is around accessing data using OData. So basically, accessing data that's in Vicinity from outside of Vicinity. An example of that would be an Excel dashboard where you create a big table of data and then do some graphing off of that table, and the Excel spreadsheet auto refreshes every time you open it up or tell it to refresh. That's the scenario that we're talking about. So more specifically, we'll walk through an example. One of the challenges that we've had that has had us add this functionality or modify this functionality a little bit is that when you access data from outside of Vicinity through OData, there are two opportunities to filter data. One is on the Excel side, which is what most people do. So if you have a query, I'm just going to open up, say, batches. I don't have a lot of records there, but you can see how you might. So one way to do it is bring all the data over to Excel and then filter over in Excel. The problem and the challenge that we're experiencing on that is when you bring over transactional data, like show me all raw material usage on batches for this particular raw material, just as an example. It's bringing over every piece of data to then be able to filter down to just the data that you need. If you're on premise, that slows down your server, potentially also some network slowdown. If you're in a hosted environment, whether you're private cloud or in our cloud, all that data is having to go across the internet, and it's just a lot slower than an alternative. And the alternative would be to add the filter on the database side rather than bringing all the data across the line to your computer to Excel. And remember that most people create OData queries into Vicinity or from Vicinity data through VicinityView queries. That's what we're looking at here. And if you have it configured, then you will be able to see a drill back button at the top of your menu. So here, get OData. You click on that button and it gives you this endpoint. It gives you this website for Excel to go to pick up this specific data that we've got. This is nothing new. This part has been here. So clicking on that button copies this into the clipboard. And what most people do is they go and create a spreadsheet with data. This is an existing one that I've got. I'll just create a new one real quick, a new workbook. And we'll add data, specifically get data. And most people come right to the other sources and just drop this filter, this query, this endpoint directly into this location. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. It goes and queries the data now, brings all the data over, and then from here you can filter in Excel. That is what most people do, and it works beautifully, especially for small data sets. But when you get to large data sets, that time that it took to bring all that data into Excel can get very excessive. Last release we added some timeout messaging there so that you're not waiting forever only to find out it's not going to come back. So what we really want to focus our attention on is limiting the number of records that are coming into, in this case, Excel. It could also be Power BI. It could really be anything that uses OData, including Business Central for that matter. So with that said, let's talk about how you accomplish this. This conversation now may be a little advanced for some users. Feel free to reach out to us to show you how to do this, but we've now given you the ability to filter at the server side based on dates. That's what this functionality is all about. So with that said, let's pick on that same query that we were playing with. We're just going to limit it to a smaller number of records. And we're going to limit based on the date. So I only want to see things, let's say, that are after October 2025, just as an example. So we can put that in the OData feed, or the OData string that goes to the server to request the data. And the way we do that is adding what's referred to as a parameter. Now, in our resource, our release guide, we actually have got some examples of what we can do. This is the section in the release guide that will walk you through some of these parameters. parameters. And really all we're really talking about in OData for a parameter is at the end of that endpoint, you add that question mark, filter equal, field name, and then some parameters. I understand this is a little more complicated for some folks. Feel free to reach out to us if you need. But basically, I'm picking on the planned start date in this example, and I'm saying I want records where it's greater than or equal to in this function called current date, which goes and looks at the current date, and it says, give me anything that's planning to start past today. That's basically how this is read. Now, there are a number of other examples here. This one where we're taking the current date and we're adding 5 days to it for the start date. So that would be like next week. Don't look at this week as an example. Another filter here would be start at the beginning of the week and anything starting at the beginning. You can go through these: beginning of the week, end of week, beginning of month, end of month, tomorrow, yesterday, beginning of the year. Hopefully you're kind of starting to see what we've got. There's also the ability, these are variable dates. In other words, they're going to move with today, depending on where we are. We also have the ability to set a fixed date. That's what I'm going to focus on, where we're actually adding our parameter, but we actually have to convert or cast this text into a date. That's the only trick. So it's right here. Feel free to copy and paste this. So I'm just copying that to the clipboard. Now, the way we recommend you build this thing is go to Notepad, Word, whatever. You're going to paste your original OData feed, the one without any parameters. Just paste it right here. And then down in another line, I went and picked up my filter that I'm wanting to have. And I'm going to concatenate or add to the back of this. I'm going to add this filter. Now, I went ahead and typed in my date here. I had some other date in here, but just keep that same format, the year, month, and day. And you don't have to change anything else other than maybe the field name if you're changing that. Now, the only other thing that I would suggest that you need to do, not just suggest, is get rid of all the spaces between this. So what you're going to end up having is your original URL, your original endpoint, and then we start with that filter, and that will get you that date that we're after. So just so that you can see this in action, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to create one simply using the endpoint that we had prior to this release. And we'll come to here. Let me just get rid of this guy. Just say it's fine. New workbook. So actually, that was what I was about to do. So we'll just do data, get data, other sources, and there's your data feed. And then we're going to drop that into here. Okay. Now this is that query that we were just playing with. Nothing really all that special. It brings back all records. If I'm bringing back a lot of records, this could really be a problem for me. So what I'm going to do, that's your 28 records that we saw earlier. There's nothing special that we saw a minute ago. So just note that I've got a lot of records here. You're going to see a smaller number come here in just a second. So let's do this again, but this time what I want to do is I'm going to copy the entire string. So now I've included my my filtering. So come back in here. We're going to go into data, get data, other sources, and OData feed. Now all I'm doing here than I've been doing in the past is I've simply included that filter. And so when I do this, now what's going to end up happening is the filtered view of that data. So now, previously I had 28, I've got less than that now coming into my spreadsheet. So this gives me the ability to control how much data comes into the spreadsheet prior to it actually making that call. So we don't have to pull all that data across the internet. So if you need any help with this, we're happy to show you how to do it, so you can do it as well on your own. Just reach out to support, and they're happy to do it. In the past, what we've done is taken your spreadsheets and made those changes ourselves and hand the spreadsheet back to you. We've now got it to a place where we believe you should be able to handle some of this yourself. So kind of use cases, or maybe I should say best practices, I would suggest using Notepad. Some people would go one step further and say, go ahead and test it in a browser. That's perfectly fine. You can do that. All you're really going to do is get this kind of data. It's basically showing you that you got data from that query. And as you can see there, I can see my data, everything looks good, and then I can continue on to Excel and use that query post, that filtering. So I would suggest you use Notepad or Word to build your endpoint that you're interested in. Really focus on limiting by dates. That'll help. Some other areas might be by facilities. So you're only looking at certain facilities. The whole idea is try to put those big filters in your OData feed so that we don't have to bring quite as much data across the line to Excel. Anyway, we hope that helps. Please let us know if there are any kind of challenges or issues you may be having. Things like this, slowness of bringing data back. We'll bring it back into our workshop, figure out some options, and release it just as we did. Anyway, we hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.